What's up? What's up?
How's it going, Max?
All good. Let me start my video as well. There you go.
There you are. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Let me make sure I have the mic. Yeah.
I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Cool, man. Nice.
Very good. So welcome. This is Eric Swahn Racing.com podcast. I think it's either 39 or 40 that I've done with.
Nice.
Today I have Max Tornow. I think I said that right.
Yep.
And you're from Austria.
Correct, sir.
And you're a freedom mentoring business guy and a former dating coach, maybe still a dating coach.
Correct. No, the dating coaching I've stopped in 2018, I think.
Okay, yeah, you were big into RSD.
Correct.
Travel in the world 4 times over.
Yes, sir.
And some of your stats, over 10 million views on YouTube so far.
Damn, I didn't even know. You know these stats better than me.
Yeah, if you go to your About page, it'll show you how many views you have total.
Oh, that's epic. Well, that's cool.
So yeah, it's I'm humbled to be speaking with you today and just trying to get some knowledge from other people, get maybe a mentor under my belt in my pocket, and ask you some questions. You know, this is a podcast, so you can ask me things, kind of have a conversation instead of more of just a straight up interview.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
So what you been up to lately?
I actually just got off a client call with one of our advanced clients. He's a nutritional coach in Italy, and we help him scale his business. He's doing fairly well, but obviously we want to scale to 25K. After this, I'm meeting a friend, and hey, it's great. Like just the usual Saturday. I was about to say morning, but it's 3 p.m.
3 p.m. your time. It's 8 a.m. here.
Damn.
I'm in Michigan, United States.
How cold is it there right now? It must be freezing.
Very cold. It's we might get a snowstorm tomorrow, and I think it's like 20 degrees out. Yesterday it was 20 miles an hour winds and 13-degree low. High at 20.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez, man. Jeez. Yeah, you do some racing too, right?
Yep, Eric Swahn Racing. So my history is I race modified sport bikes. So like crotch rockets, 600cc motorcycles on racetracks with left turns, right turns, road courses like cars race on also, but not ovals. We don't do NASCAR ovals or anything like that because of the walls.
Yeah. I mean, geez, man. You know, it's funny because I started one of my employees has always been into Formula One. And I remember we went to a big event like Counter-Strike Finals in Cologne, and I took like half my team with me, a couple of girls, and we all went there with like 10 people. And it was in this huge hall. We had these epic seats, and he was legitimately watching Formula One on his phone while he was at the event. And it was funny because then he got me into it. He was like, just watch one race with me. And it was Montreal, Grand Prix of Montreal 2019. Yeah. And ever since then, I've watched every single Grand Prix. And last season, I was so addicted to it. I just wanted more racing. So I also bought the subscription for the MotoGP, and I watched a couple races there.
Awesome. That's great to see. You know, I think if more people had watched 1 or 2 events, or if it was marketed better or televised more, I think it would be huge. But it's such a niche community. But yeah, I'm addicted to it. I love it.
I mean, it's look, Formula One is insane, you know, and you know, if you crash, the repercussions are huge, but this is nothing compared to MotoGP. I mean, that shit is, if I can I swear on your pod? Maybe you have to.
Oh yeah, you can say whatever
you
want, man.
So what they are doing on a MotoGP, like that is insane. I heard that statistic. It's like I think like 10% of the race, your ass is actually on the seat. The rest, you're just somewhere in the curve, and that's just insanity.
Yeah, even when you're on the straightaway, it's like what, 10 seconds on those bikes? They
go
up to 220 miles an hour or something like that. And yeah, it's wild. Most of the time, people always say, "Oh, you're just sitting on a motorcycle. It's not that strenuous. Like, give me a break. You're most of the time you're doing a squat through the corner." You know, your
Yeah.
legs are fully engaged. Your hands have no weight on them. There's a fine art to doing it.
Exactly, and it looks insane. And you know, look, I go karting, like race karting, and that alone is a strain on the body. Let alone driving with 200 miles an hour. You know, let alone being on two wheels instead of four. So it's pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, man, I love doing the karting. So I specialize in kinds of motorsport. Um, Motorcycle road racing, karting. I've done autocross event in a car, an Audi. I do mountain
Sick.
bike racing. I'd like to get into cycling racing. Done foot racing, triathlon indoors. My brother's a four-time triathlete, so it kind of runs in the family.
Oh, sick. Got it. Sounds
So
nice, man.
yeah, and so I've raced all these years, but I kind of ran out of money. So I started my own business, EricSwanRacing.com, to help fund all of it, to help fund my
Yeah.
own passions. And, you know, I guess my goal in life really is to not have to work for someone else. And I'm still working
Yeah.
a normal job, and while I'm building my business in the part-time. So it's just, you know, you got to be patient while you're doing that. I'm also, you know, renting out rooms in my house to generate further income. For the last little while, I've had two renters, and I'm looking to buy a house to have more rooms to rent out. So trying to figure out ways to get away from the 9 to 5. It's actually the 6 to 2 p.m. for me.
Yeah. Well, let's get you there. You know, wouldn't be the first one to do it.
Yeah, so right now I have a full-time worker in India. I have a family member who volunteers graciously and puts in like 30, 40 hours a week. She's retired, so she wants to do something productive.
Nice.
And I'm looking to maybe hire another person. And I found this great company, We Are VAs, that you can hire a full-time worker in India for $5 an hour. And they're great,
Okay.
you know, Excel proficient, knowledgeable people who are hungry and willing to work.
Yeah. Sounds cool. I think it's cool that you have someone from your family employed as well. I have my dad help out as well. Also, I'm going to buy some real estate probably this year, and I'll have my dad manage it as well because I want to buy it in Austria, not in Ukraine or not in Cyprus. And I like that, you know, it's because when you have somebody in your family employed, you can trust that person. Like by default, you can trust that person. And by default, that person has your best interest in mind, you know,
Yeah.
unless you have to with your family, which I hope you don't, you know.
No, she's been great,
Yeah.
and I just need more people at this point. It's like at a certain point, I'm realizing that I can't do everything, and it's gonna hinder my progress if I stop with just me. So I need more people to make it progress faster. Because my problem is right now is so I sell products online. I sell race products, motorsports, bike parts, that kind of thing, gear parts, tires, all the stuff that we use on the racetrack. And we have access to well over 10,000 unique products, but only a few thousand of them are listed because it takes time to go through an Excel and make them ready for the marketplaces and everything and all that. So that's what these employees are basically doing, is just listing new products. And it
Yeah.
just takes a long time because we're doing it on eBay, on Amazon, on my website, on a local marketplace called Craigslist. And
Yeah.
sometimes you can also push stuff that goes on your website to Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of stuff involved. So it's just a lot of work.
Yeah. I'm familiar with that. I mean, what we're doing is we don't work with people that sell a physical product. We work with people who sell their expertise, right? Online coaching, consulting, or service providing. And the big advantage there is that you have very little expenses, right? So I hear this all the time for people that are in e-commerce, for people that sell physical products, like, oh, you know, I'm making 50K revenue a month. Okay, 50K revenue a month. How much of that is profit? Roughly around 10 to 15%. So the profit margins are ridiculously slim.
Yeah, you're living in the
If
margins.
exactly, if you take online coaching or consulting there as an example, if you make 50K a month, right? If I look at our advanced clients that make 50K a month, they have maybe let's say 2 to 3K ad spend a month, and maybe 1 or 2 employees that they pay 5K in total. Okay. So let's say you make 50K a month and you have around 8K expenses. The rest is pure profit. That's it. You don't have any expenses. That's the beautiful thing, right? And we always say if you want to get to 100K a month, you'll need around between 4 to 7 employees to make 100K a month. So you can extrapolate that calculation. You'll still have around 80% of profit. And even if you're on the lower side and you have maybe less cash flow, you still have 70% profit. And that's beautiful, you know, because ultimately it's your work, you know, and you shouldn't be drowning in expenses. That also helps you scale extremely fast. So, you know, that's why, like you said at the beginning, that was my very first business, the online coaching and dating and personal development. And, you know, that has helped me make my first million. I barely had any expenses. You know, it was sure my time that I put in there, but hey, it was something I was extremely passionate about. It was something that I loved doing. Hell, to be fully honest, it was something that I was willing to do for free, but I obviously found a way to monetize that. And then in 2018, well, with 2018, it was kind of already a natural transition because so many people would start getting on board with my dating programs just to ask me business questions. You know, like I would have people that are like, you know, thanks, Max. Like I invested a large 5-figure sum into your mentoring, and I would ask them about their goals in their dating life, and they would tell me like, oh, they're married for 9 years. They just want to ask me about business. So 2018 was kind of like a deciding year for me where I said, you know, hey, I have all these people already asking me for business advice. And by that time, it also started taking over as my new passion, my new number one passion, because the dating stuff became quite repetitive. And I decided to help people with their online businesses. And it's funny because with dating advice, it was kind of like I would get a client and I would, you know, help them find a girlfriend or help them get married. And there's not much more beyond that you could teach them. You know, you would send them off with their happy relationship. Maybe they'd come back at some point to get some relationship advice. But with business, I don't just like with our beginner program, right? Our Freedom Biz Mentor beginner program. The goal of that is to get people to get to their first $10,000 month, right? So their first 5-figure month. And you don't just send them off with their first 10K a month. You can scale them. And you can basically scale them ad infinitum, right? You can literally keep scaling them. Like you can almost scale any online coaching or service providing business to at least 100K a month. So what I really like, what I really enjoy about this business is I get to support our clients on such a long journey. And then, you know, we help our advanced clients to go from the solopreneur 10K a month from my laptop lifestyle to building something larger than themselves, to helping them make their first hire, manage the team. And then, you know, next thing you know is you had a guy who was just a solopreneur who didn't even have a business. And 2-3 years later, this guy has a team around him, has fully changed how they look on the outside. You know, they dress nicer, they maybe wear expensive clothes, bought expensive watches, or they go on vacations. But they also changed on the inside. They're more awake, they're harder, they're better, they're stronger. And just, you know, accompanying someone on a journey like that is extremely, extremely inspiring. And I just love it. I don't think I'll ever do something else. I might do other things next to it, but I think that will always be my main thing.
Yeah, that's got to be pretty fulfilling. You know, getting somebody a girlfriend or a wife is great on one level, but it's got to be so much more rewarding to change people's financial futures with building businesses.
Exactly, because I mean, it's beautiful if you help someone find a girlfriend and maybe they'll build a family from that. But ultimately, you have a greater impact on their life if you help them become free. You know, I mean, and might be something interesting for your listeners as well. If you're employed right now and you're in your job and you know you're exchanging your hours for a specific salary that you get each month or every 2 weeks, it's like, how fulfilled do you really feel? Right? And maybe you say like, I'm doing fine for myself, the pay is fine, you know, but I always put it like this, like, since when is that the goal, to do fine for yourself? What about giving back? What about giving back to your parents? Right? It was probably not too easy to bring you up. What about giving back to people that have helped you? What about, look, I grew up with a single mom, you know. I did see my dad every now and then. I saw him every other weekend, and my mom and dad are still good friends ever since they got divorced. But ultimately, like, I didn't have everything I wanted. You know, I remember my parents bought me a snowboard once, and it was exactly the snowboard that I wanted. It was a Forum uh, Destroyer. That was the name of the snowboard, Forum
Oh yeah.
Destroyer, and it was so expensive, and I had like a flow binding, which was an expensive binding,
Oh yeah,
and
K2
and
flows.
and I knew, yeah, exactly, and I knew my parents had to go out of their way to be able to finance that, and I was very appreciative of that. But at the same time, I'm like, I felt bad about that. And you know, I said a big reason why I wanted to build this big business is so my children don't have to feel bad about asking for things. You know what I'm saying? So it's also your duty. If you're in a 9 to 5 job and maybe you're doing fine for yourself, hey, it's your duty to build something. You might not have to build a 100K a month business, but you should build a sizable small business if you want. And you should do that so you can be there for your kids, because I also know that my dad wasn't always there. I have a lot of memories without him, and I have a lot of memories of me asking, where's my dad, like when is he coming home? And i want to be I want to be there for my kids. I want to literally watch them grow up. I want to be there all the time. I want to get on their nerves so much, you know, that they're like, Dad, getting on our nerves. Like, please go away. Like, leave us alone. That's how much I want to be there for my kids. And I can only do that if I have a business. Most importantly, you can only do that if you have a business, if you have an online business. And, you know, 2020 and 2021 have shown that, like, how safe are jobs, how many people, you probably know a bunch of people, dude, that have lost their jobs. I know
Oh
certainly
yeah.
a lot of them. So this whole idea of like, do a safe and steady job, it's not happening anymore. Jobs aren't safe anymore. If you really want to be safe, you got to be in control, and you can only do that with your own online business.
You know, I was just driving down the road and I saw another restaurant close, and I said, "Oh wow!" And I said to myself, "Why am I surprised anymore that all these restaurants are closed?
Yeah,
You know, there's just so many
yeah.
of them. It shouldn't be shocking."
It's horrible. It's horrible what's going on, and you know the repercussions will be felt for many, many years. And on the other hand, like, I'm really sad about all these things happening, but on the other hand, I'm extremely proud and happy that our clients are doing exponentially well. And lots of our clients, they had a regular 9 to 5 job background. They weren't even sometimes even sure what exactly they could offer as an online coach. And then we usually analyze their strengths. You know, we tell them what exactly fits well. We can look at the market. We can cross-reference what has worked so far. We can get them on their way. And we have clients who are, for example, worked as PTs, as personal trainers in fitness centers. They lost their job when COVID hit, and now they're making 19K a month, 20K a month, which is like 6 times more than they ever made in person. But they work less, and now they're working online. You know, lots of my clients actually moved to temporarily to Mexico right now. They're just partying in Playa del Carmen because there's no restrictions. You
And
know,
a
so
currency.
exactly, like really, and in all honesty, I did that too. You know, my home country, Austria, is in complete lockdown. You can't even leave the house. People are being deprived of their freedoms. But I didn't have to be there. I just packed my laptop. I'm like, well, let me go somewhere else. You know, of course, I did a COVID test to always make sure I travel safely. But I basically just hop around and just I'm wherever I feel like, wherever things are nice and convenient, and that amount of freedom is worth a lot of money, a lot.
And so here's a good question for you. My brother and myself a little bit, but more my brother right now is trying to start some sort of coaching program for his triathlon training. So he's
Yeah.
done it 4 times, but he's maybe a third closer to the front. You know what I mean? So he's a third in the pack, not mid pack, but closer. But he's not going to win the thing. So he's thinking, how am I going to position myself as he's not a professional, but he's very, very knowledgeable. I could consider him an expert after 4 times. So how to
Yeah.
position yourself as a coach if you're not the best?
Well, look, you don't have to be the best. You don't have to be, you said that he's a triathlete or something, right?
Yeah. So
Like, you don't
swimming.
have to win. You don't have to win no gold medal or something like that. Even if you're the 100th best athlete in your niche, you're still gonna be ahead of the average person who you could learn, who you could teach. You know, So that's not an issue. I mean, if I look at my MMA trainer here in Kiev, he's a 3 times national champion, and I can afford him training me. But in all honesty, I'm a noob when it comes to Muay Thai. So if I had someone there that is like 5th best or 50th best in the nation, he would still teach me a lot. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So that is not the issue. The way I would position myself, it depends obviously on who his audience is and what exactly he wants to do and how big of an operation he wants to do. So if I was your brother, you know, I would jump on a free call with us. We offer those. You can head over to maxtornow.com. It's my website. You click a button, you fill out the application, because I don't want to, there's no one size fits it all approach, right? We always individualize, customize to the individual our approaches of how we would position ourselves, which is why we offer these free calls. It's literally a free consultation call. You jump on that call, you'll be talking to a real person who's an expert from my team. And we basically look at, okay, here's where you are, here's what you could do, here's where you can get to, and here's the steps that you need to take. And if you then want to become our client, you want to say, hey, can you guys help me implement these steps? Can you guys help me? You know, can you accompany me on my journey? We can always talk about that on the call as well. But other than that, you get the steps, and you can also just go out and try it yourself.
Yeah, and are you having them like make videos and YouTube, social media, that kind of thing, building websites and?
No, that comes later. That comes much later. So anything regarding YouTube, anything regarding social media, or even website building, that comes after you make your first 10,000 a month. Before that, you don't need that. It's simple. Like if you think like, oh, you need a big social media brand in order to make 10K a month, absolutely not necessary. Absolutely not necessary. You just do simple direct outreach methods where you don't need to have a social media channel, where you don't need to have paid advertising. It's literally the most direct and fastest way to get your first clients. That's, by the way, also how I did it way before I had my first channel on YouTube. I didn't crack the 10K a month myself. That was back in 2013. But I did start making around $2,000 to $4,000 a month by literally just being on a forum. And I would post a couple things and directly reach out to people who could use my help. And I said, hey, you know, I can help you. Maybe if you want to have my expertise as a coach. That is how, you know, I, as a 23-year-old, made 2 to 4K a month, which was nice. And that's exactly what we're teaching now our beginner clients. Of course, the refined and perfected version that we've created over the years of experience that we have. But the moral of the story is social media and videos, that comes later once you crack the 10K a month.
Yeah, and you've been producing tons of videos, super high quality production value. You must have some videographers on staff.
Yes, sir. Exactly. I have right now 3 videographers. They also do social media, photography, logo design. They also do a lot for our clients, for our advanced clients, that is. And yeah, I mean, also here, like I used to do all that myself in the beginning. Most of my programs, I actually edited it myself, my beginning programs that I made for my first business before I started going really crazy and say, hey, let me hire a team. And now this team is basically handling a vast majority of the visual aspect and audio aspect of my social media channels, of our podcast. I have the Max Tornow podcast on Spotify and where else are we on? And Apple, obviously. So I'm at a point right now, we're making multiple 7 figures a year, soon to be scaled to 8 figures. And it's at a point for me in terms of content creation where I literally hop in front of the camera, I get the microphone tucked to my shirt, I speak, and when I'm done, I give the microphone back, and that's it. And I go and do what I ever have to do. And the rest, the editing process, it's all systemized. And we have a couple clients that are relatively big on social media. We have clients with, 500,000 or 1.2 million subscribers on YouTube. They're obviously a little bit at a different level. Those are the kind of clients that we're aiming to get to 100K a month fairly quickly because they have an existing brand and an existing audience. And what we do with them is we also help them systemize the whole content creation process, where we say, look, you still edit your own videos, you have a huge brand, like go get someone in to do that and systemize the teaching, the training of that employee. So you basically have the whole hands-off structure. and you don't
Yeah,
have to do it yourself.
you could almost franchise that model and just sell that as a
Yeah,
model to people.
exactly. It's almost like that. It's almost like that. Like we have so many templates that we give our clients. They just, templates for website buildings, templates for funnel buildings, templates for advertising. Like if you're an intermediate client of ours and you're looking to scale from your first 10K a month to 25K a month, 50K, like we've done this literally hundreds of times by now, and it's so easy for us. Like we have it all prepared for you, but you basically just insert your name and your audience and so on and so forth. You change the dials a little bit, and off you go, and you can easily scale.
That's great. That's awesome. Great value, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, look, in my first business, I kind of learned the over delivering, because I was always proud of what I've built, and I was always proud of my clients. And I realized, hey, if I center my life around the client's well-being and the client's success, then not only is that good karma, but it's also good. It's extremely good for business, right? And I mean, especially now with this business model that we have, it's even better because, like I said, in the old business, dating advice business, if a client was happy, okay, he would get a girlfriend and then he's happy, when we work with our clients now, if a client is happy and makes their first 10K a month as a beginner, what do they want to do? Well, now they want to scale, and they want to say, hey guys, can you help me now scale to 25K a month? Like, here's more money. I pay even more to get me even better. So it's of course also in our best interest to make sure our clients are making money, because only then they will want to continuously work with us, which also means more revenue for us. So it's literally in our best interest. When our clients win, we win. And also the word of mouth. I mean, we're literally getting in people that buy our programs literally just from being referred from existing clients. And we have a specific average amount a week coming in just from referrals, because
Yeah.
people are so happy with our program, and they say, hey, my friend also wants to build a freedom business. Can you help him? So like I said, we're in this wonderful constellation where the client wins and we also win. So it's in our best interest, right? Like I said, like I just jumped off a call with one of our clients, and it's a Saturday. I don't have an issue with working on a Saturday, because ultimately it's good for the client and also good for us.
Yeah, if you're available, it could help that guy become another customer.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
And it just takes a little bit of effort. A lot of people aren't
Yeah,
willing to do whatever it takes.
exactly. And look, for me, these things are second nature. Like, it's the easiest thing in the world for me to scale someone to 25K a month. Like, I've done it so many times. It's easy as hell to scale someone to 50K or 100K a month. I've done it so many times. Like, it doesn't cost me much energy. I know all the pitfalls that could potentially be there. I know all the issues in your mind that you could have in the market with your expertise with your clients. Most likely I've had it, or I've had it plus a client has had it, or a partner has had it. Like, I've seen it before. So it's second nature for me. And it's still fun. I love it. It's similarly to you, probably when you're racing a racetrack that you've done before, you know it in and out. And that's where the fun really begins, because now you can really start enjoying the small little intricacies of it.
Yep, you start pushing, this is a little bump here or a little
Exactly.
curbing's different over there.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of it.
For sure. And so tell me a little bit about Austria. I've never been there. I know that there's the Red Bull Ring is in that
Yeah.
country.
Dude, it's beautiful. We wanted to go to the Red Bull Ring actually in 2020. Obviously, we couldn't go because it wasn't open for public.
In
But
Spielberg.
yeah, exactly. One of my employees, Nico, he actually comes from literally around the corner of that track. So, man, we hope that 2021 will be open for audience, which would be epic, because obviously then I'll go.
Yeah.
I'll bring some of my team members, some girls, and we'll enjoy it. But Austria, other than that, it's beautiful. If you're into winter sports, if you're in the mountains, alpine lakes,
Oh yeah.
I just love it there. I love going back there because my hometown is kind of like the Shire and the Lord of the Rings. Like, it never changes. It's always the same, regardless of what's happening outside. So I come from a 5,000 people cow town there. Not many opportunities. Most of my friends, they got some manual labor job that they've had since they're 16, 17. And it's always kind of cool to come back and it used to be my home, and now it's almost like this last bastion, this remote thing that I go to wind off and kind of like do my detox. And I love going swimming in the Alpine Lake, even when it's cold in winter. I hop in, my girlfriend's Finnish, so she kind of pushes me to do these things. And I love the cold. I love the snow. And in summer, it's so beautiful too. Obviously, the lakes are warm. You can cruise around. Sometimes I rent nice sports cars. I kind of drive around. You can drive up that mountain. There's some mountain roads, but they're like street paved, so you can race up. It winds up like a serpent, and you always have the view on the left side. Then you have a hairpin, and you have the view on the right side, and it's amazing. I actually rented a Ferrari. I can't remember what it was, 458 Spider or something like that.
Italia.
And yeah. And I rented one for my dad, and it was actually a YouTube video. And I said, hey, my dad has been absolutely epic, and this year we couldn't travel that much because of, for obvious reasons. So what I did is I basically said, look, be ready at 8 a.m. in the morning. I'll pick you up. We'll do some things. And he had no idea. So I picked him up with an Audi DT, which is an okay car. Yeah. And then we raced to Graz, which was a nearby city. And we went to the general aviation on the airport there. And he's like, what are we doing? And I had a friend of mine that is a helicopter pilot. And he invited me. He said, look, guys, you only have to pay for the heli itself for an hour. You don't have to pay for me. So we went a helicopter flying. My dad got to fly it a little bit with the stick, and then we landed on some mountain. It was so epic because the pilot was like, hey, you guys want some coffee? And we're like, yeah. So he just flies to this like Alpine restaurant thing, and he literally just lands on the grass in front of it. We hop out of the helicopter, grab some coffee, fly back because it was starting to rain. We say goodbye, we drive home, and my dad was like, that was nice, thank you. Then we watched the Grand Prix. I can't remember which one it was, but we watched it on television. And then I said, I have one more thing for you, Dad. Come upstairs with me. Go uphill with me. And then we walk up this hill, and I had the Ferrari parked that I rented for a day. And he's like, oh, look, someone has a Ferrari. And I'm like, hey, I have the key if you want to ride it. And he's like, no way. So we started racing that around. First, we raced down into the town. And then we got some pizza, and then we took the pizza up the mountain. We drove all the way up the mountain in the Ferrari. My dad got to race up a little bit, and then we had the pizza on the mountaintop, and it was really beautiful. Like, these are the kinds of things I love doing when I'm in Austria. Hang out with my dad and my mom and, do cool stuff.
It sounds like a blast. I know you've done a bunch of go-karting. Have you ever done any track days in a bike or a car?
No, I wish. It's definitely on my bucket list to do it in a car. The biking thing, I love watching it, and I got huge respect for it, but it's not something I'm interested in particular. Although I did have a small motorcycle when I was like 16. We had it tuned, But what I could really see myself doing is race on the Nürburgring or some stuff like that, like rent the track for an hour or something and really go, like maybe get an instructor to really learn how to race an actual car. A Porsche or something like that. Like, that would be insane. And that's definitely something that I'm going to do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would highly recommend. I always spend most of my money on track time, like just open laps, track time, and coaching with pro schools and things like that. It's so valuable. Just like you get mentors and you mentor others, it's so valuable to have someone on track to tell you what's going on.
Yeah.
Learn from them, follow their lines. And get their advice.
Exactly. Like just like in anything in life, like I always put it like this. For some professions, it's absolutely normal for people to get a mentor or a teacher. And for some other things, people tend to always think they would do it themselves. And for example, if you would want to learn Kung Fu, of course you'd get to a dojo and you'd have like a Kung Fu master or a teacher teach you, right? You wouldn't stand outside in your garden and try to do the Kung Fu moves that you see on YouTube. Nobody does that. That's stupid, But then when it comes to things like racing or building a business, people all of a sudden want to try it themselves, which is just such a stupid thing to do because it just wastes so much of your time. So if I ever would get in a race car, I would literally just probably invest in like several days of really having a coach next to me to actually get the learning curve. Because the learning curve from the beginning especially is just exponential. Like, how long would it take me to figure out how to race the car properly and how to really find the right racing line? It would take me weeks of my own personal time. And, you know, how long does it usually take people to start making the first 10K a month with an online business, if they even get there, right? If they don't even give up, like, it takes so long. But, you know, if you have someone who's done it hundreds of times before with hundreds of different people and hundreds of different niches, it's a matter of a couple of weeks, you know, and then you get there, and it has cost you relatively little time and effort.
It's like, hey, here's the path. Now just do your thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, insert your stuff, you know, and let's go. And, you know, we're really going into a direction where we become known to be extremely client supportive. I mean, our clients literally can ask questions every single day during the week, plus Sunday. So Saturday is kind of like the only day where we officially have rest day, even though for the one-on-one clients, I still reply on the weekends. You know, they have a live call every day that they can join. You know, we have a mindset coach, someone that is has been a practicing psychologist for 7 years. So he really knows how to really make sure your mindset is on point. We have lead generation coaches, sales coaches, positioning coaches. I mean, there's just nothing missing there. And to be honest, you know, I've said this before on some of my social media, like, I could have just created a couple $100 info product. Like, here's the information, here's the videos, good luck. And it probably would have given me higher profit margins, but I didn't want to do that. I said, look, if I'm going to do this, we're going to do this right. And instead of just me cashing in, I wanted to use some of the money that I'm making and hire staff, hire team, hire people that help me with the support. So our clients don't just watch videos and then they're out, but we actually customize the coaching to each and every client, and the client is never alone. No question goes unanswered. The client always has an entire team around them that can help them with anything that they need to first start their own business, or if they're already advanced, to obviously scale.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me want to start a coaching business around Eric Swahn Racing about motorcycle racing and motorsports and getting into racing. How do you get to the racetrack? Like, how do you
shouldn't
start, you know?
Shouldn't be too difficult, in all honesty. Shouldn't be too difficult, because especially in a niche like yours, you're already positioned in a way where your audience has buying power. If your audience is interested in racing, they're able to afford, you know, at the very least, some sort of motorized vehicle. So you're never going to have the issue of talking to people that might not be able to afford it. So racing is an expensive sport. That's what you have to realize. So with these things, you already have one of the bigger obstacles already out of the way, meaning the people who you could help, they also have the buying power, which is a great thing to do. And they're obviously also willing to invest and get help with that because they want to get faster. They want to have more fun. So It shouldn't be too difficult to get started in such a thing.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested. It's just there's like so many things on my plate. That's like 35th on my list, you know?
Yeah, you know, I always put it like that: is can you afford not to do it? You know, especially if you have a lot of things on your plate. Ultimately, that's the reason why you should have help, so you don't have to figure it out on yourself, right? If you already have too much to do, the easiest thing is to do it in a proven way so you can actually save your own time.
Right. It makes sense. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And so you mentioned snowboarding a little bit.
Yep.
You been on the slopes at all lately?
I've been snowboarding once this season. It was, I think, right after Christmas. It was dumping some powder, and, you know, it was dumping some powder at night during Christmas Eve. And I said, hey, tomorrow morning I'm going to get up at 6 and I'll be the first one up. So I had a couple runs, but it wasn't enough snow yet. So that was the only time I went. And what I did then is I went back to Kiev and said, hey, until it starts snowing, until it starts dumping, I'm going to be in Kiev and I'll just work on the business. And it's actually crazy because it's actually cool because I literally every day I checked the weather. One sec, let me check it. And I'm always having an eye on it. I'm like, okay, like, what's the weather? Is it going to go colder and more snow? But right now I'm looking at it. It's too warm still. Celsius it's plus, it's not minus degrees. So there will, at maximum, it will be rain. So that's all good. So for the next Sunday to Sunday, for the next 9 days, I'm not going to go back to Austria, which means for the next 9 days, I can keep hustling, keep pushing for the business, and That's good, you know. So once the business side is more automated with the new projects that we have coming up, then I can obviously go back to Austria and just work from there while at the same time going snowboarding.
There you go. Yeah, I haven't. I sold my snowboard through my business because everything that I have that's used that I kind of want to get rid of and get my money out of, I just put it on online for sale. That way, you know, I got
Smart.
50% of the price of it out of it, and
Yeah,
now I can buy
just
a
get
new
rid
one.
of it, you know. I do that so many times too. I'm not a fan of owning a lot of things. Like I hate when I have stuff lying around that I haven't used. Clothes, clothes I always donate. You know, I give it to my assistant, say go donate these clothes somewhere. But if I own something, like sometimes video gear that is like slightly outdated, I basically give it to my assistant. I say go sell it, keep 10% of whatever price you sell, you know, so she has an incentive to sell it. Just get rid of all this stuff. I hate when there's stuff lying around. Like one thing that I've learned from the 4 years of world tours is I like being able to fit my whole life in a suitcase. It sounds weird, but it gives me this kind of feeling of I'm always flexible. So if I wanted to go somewhere, I just pack my suitcase, that's all the essentials in there, and then off I go and I stay somewhere else for a couple months. Now, it has gotten to a point where I can't do that fully anymore. I do have a guitar and an amp. I'm looking at it here. I have a jacuzzi outside. Obviously can't take that with me, but
Well, if
the
it's things
essentials
that
I
you
can.
like, if it's things that you use, that's fine. But if it's just clutter
Yeah,
in your room, that's not doing
you're
anything.
right.
It's a different thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, I don't know why, but it always accumulates. You always say, okay, I'm not going to buy anything useless in my mind, and it still accumulates. But yeah, you know, I like just always kind of being light, you know, moving lightly, and that gives me always the flexibility. And I was in Cyprus last October, I think, and it was still extremely warm. You know, Cyprus is an island in the Mediterranean. So what I'm going to do this year is I'm going to spend 2 months minimum in Cyprus. And what I'll do is I'll probably go there in April, and because there it's summer there already, and then I go back to the mainland during summer, and then I'll go back to Cyprus during the month of October or something like that. So basically, I have this elongated summer, and all I have to do is just find a spot where I want to go during winters to really make sure I get as much powder and snow days as possible. Because there are other places, you know, my hometown is in the Austrian Alps, but it's not that high up, so it's not on glacier level, you know. But
Okay.
if I could find something, I'm also thinking about like maybe just like that's one thing I want to do once in my life at least, like go in the middle of summer, like in June or July, and go somewhere to the southern hemisphere, like
Yeah,
Peru or Chile, and go snowboarding there.
that'd be cool.
Just, you know, like in the middle of August, just go snowboarding. I could imagine that would be really epic, and it's still on my list. Um, it's funny. I have this bucket list that I made when I was in my early 20s, when I started kind of on my self-development journey, and there was like ridiculously out of my reach goals on there, like making my first million before I'm 30, going to see whales and things like that. And I've almost crossed all of these goals off. I've seen whales last year in Iceland, which was an adventure in and of itself. My girlfriend and I actually wanted to go to Austria to see my family, but then the summer restrictions have just kicked in, and she wasn't allowed to go there anymore as a Finn. Obviously, I could have come back to Austria because I'm a citizen,
Hmm.
but we were like, okay, well, what countries could we go to? And the only two countries that we could visit were Iceland and Finland itself, or no, Sweden, exactly.
Okay.
And so we're like, well, my girlfriend was like, I always wanted to go to Iceland. I'm like, well, me too. So let's go to Iceland instead. So we went to Iceland, and it was pretty cool because, you know, I just took my phone and my laptop, and I ran my entire business just while being on this business trip, on this freedom trip with my girlfriend. And I told my assistant, hey, we're going to Iceland, go rent me a Porsche. And because that's what we usually do, is I go somewhere, I tell my assistant to find like a luxury car rental place, and they're like, sorry Max, we can't find a Porsche. And I'm like, what the hell, like go do your job. You know, I actually got pretty angry. And then they're like, Max, we researched, like, you can't rent a Porsche there. And I was really disappointed. And so we went to the rental car place, and then we rented an SUV. I think it was a Jeep or something. And later on, I understood why they don't give you Porsche, because half of the country, half of the island is not streets. It's just gravel roads. I didn't know.
Yeah.
So if you go to Iceland, you have Reykjavik, the capital with like 200,000 inhabitants. And then you just go out of the city and it just, the road just cuts off and it's just gravel road from now on. It's like a literal highway. And then it just, oh, now it's gravel road. Good luck out, you know? And we're like, okay, good, we don't have a Porsche. So and it was epic. We spent, I think, 7 days there or something. And we went horse riding. We saw the waterfalls. We chilled. We had a jacuzzi in the hotel room at first as well. I saw the mountain, you know, the mountain, the guy from Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah.
I legitimately saw him. It was such a ridiculous thing because on my way to Iceland in the airplane, I was like, who's famous from Iceland? Maybe we'll see them. And the only person I could think of was the Game of Thrones actor, the mountain, Björn Hafsson or something is his name. And I'm like, you know, how ridiculous would it be if we saw this guy, you know? And then it was, I think, our second night. We were still in Reykjavik, and my girlfriend and I went to this really good, high-quality vegetarian place or something. And I was literally facing the door on our table, and the door was like a glass door, like a milky glass door. And I see the silhouette on the other side of the door, and I'm like, wow, this guy's huge. And the door opens and this guy with a smile comes in. I'm like, he looks like the mountain. So funny, right? And I'm like, oh, this is the mountain. Oh my God. So yeah, I didn't want to disturb him. He was there with his pregnant wife. So, you know, I didn't want to ask for a picture or something, but it was cool nonetheless. And I'm rambling. And then, yeah, so the whales thing. Yeah. And then the next day we decided, let's go see the whales. And my girlfriend is really good at researching things. And she found this place called Húsavík, which is like a little fishing town on the north side. And she said, like, notoriously that is the best town to see whales up there. So we drove 6 hours through the island over gravel roads in our Jeep. It was such a sick adventure. Yeah. And then we arrived in Húsavík, and we actually did go whale watching, and we saw whales.
Were you
and then, you know, another thing checked out. Sorry, go ahead.
Were you on a boat or from the shore?
Oh yeah, we were on a boat. Yeah. They take you out. They take you through the fjord or whatever it's called, and it gets really cold, even though it was August. Yeah. Like you have to wear gloves and hat. And yeah, we legitimately went out into the sea and we saw whales. We saw like a humpback whale, and it was absolutely beautiful. It was such an unreal experience. And then
they're like 70 feet.
Yeah, they're huge. They're like, you know, you do kind of know on a logic level that they're huge, but when they're next to the boat, you're like, this thing is huge.
They're monsters. They're dinosaurs almost.
Yeah, it's crazy. And you know, they teach you a little bit about the whales. They basically say that the lower side of their tail is like our fingerprint. It's like unique, like the pattern is unique. And they document each and every whale that they see, and they find these same whales a couple of weeks later in the Dominican. So they can literally see the migration patterns of the whales, how they go from the north of Iceland all the way down to the Dominican Republic. And that's just really epic. Like, I'm a big fan of nature, and I'm so happy that I get to see all that, you know?
Are you into going camping and all that?
My girlfriend wants to go. I'm not a huge fan of that. You know, when I was traveling the world when I was on my world tours, I was just not in the position where I could afford a lot of comfort. So I have a lot of nights of crashing on the floor under my belt. So I'm not big on camping, but I'll do it. I'll do it every now and then. I think not yet, but I'll do it every now and then if my girlfriend really wants to do it.
You can always do luxury camping or glamping, they call it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that I can see myself doing with some like cool what is it called? RVs with some
or
really
Sprinter vans.
Yeah, that's something I would be keen to do for sure.
I see a lot of people build out a Sprinter van, and it's super comfortable. They may even have a mini fridge and electricity and a generator, and they can just travel. Yeah. They have everything they need for weeks. They have canned food and all the storage you need.
It's crazy. You know who does that? Tom Green. He was on the
that's the guy I was thinking of. For
you
sure.
See that? No way. I started following him on Instagram, and he's just touring with his dog, and he's like, it looks so cool. It's like your own home, you know. It's like the ultimate thing. Like, I could see myself doing stuff like that for like a couple of days or even weeks at a time, but maybe not forever. I do like the fact having a house. Like, I live on the 20th floor here in Kiev, and I have a big veranda, and it has a winter garden. And once come spring, I want to just start planting my own vegetables and things like that, because I'm huge on eating healthy and eating clean, because it also helps me with my business. It helps me staying focused and working harder. So yeah, those are definitely lots of great things that you can do if you have the time and the energy to do it, you know?
So, how long does it take you to walk up those stairs in the morning?
Well, not long, just a couple seconds. I got it.
20
Especially, I
flights.
mean, yeah. I mean, those I have. Fortunately, I have a really, really fast elevator, because Kiev is known to have really slow elevators. A lot of the
Okay.
buildings are really old, but the building I live in is extremely modern, and it's really cool. You know, you come in, you have the security guys downstairs, and you know them
Yeah.
all, and it's just this like really high, this like high end kind of venue, and it makes you feel really, really at ease and really premium if you really think about it.
That's good. You know, I always kind of get nervous about elevators because I've seen so many of them actually get stuck, and I'm like, I'm not sitting in there for 8 hours, and that thing might fall.
Yeah, I had three of my employees once get stuck together, and the thing didn't have the button, the
Oh
alarm button.
no.
It wasn't in there, so they had
Yeah.
to call one of my assistants. And with like bad service, they were able to tell her like, "Hey, we're stuck in the building."
Yeah.
Yeah, eventually they came out, so it's all good.
Oh man. And you probably racked up tons of flight miles, like from all the travel you've done.
Yep. Unfortunately, though, I've actually had an assistant of mine look into it. But the problem was that since I traveled so much internationally, it was always with different types of airlines. So I never got like any super great status for any specific airline. But what I did get after a while is I got an American Express Platinum. And then because I spent so much on that, I got the Black American Express. So that kind of just came with like all the benefits of like, you know, I always have priority boarding and free lounges and things like that. So I kind of circumvented that by just spending a ton of money.
Is there a preferred couple airlines that you always travel with?
I really, really like, the only airline that really stood out was Virgin Atlantic. Big shout out. Like that was like, I even flew coach back then, and I'm like, this airline is the most comfortable, friendly, and also just kind of like well structured airline I've ever seen. That one, and I really like Turkish Airlines is really good too. Their business class is fantastic. Anything that has a Dreamliner. Whenever I fly cross Atlantic, and you know, if you fly business or first in the Dreamliner, that's a really nice and relaxing experience. You can flatten the chair fully, so it literally turns
Wow,
into a bed. So you're not cutting any sleep. It's just beautiful. You arrive, you don't feel hungover. It's just a really nice thing to get.
that's awesome. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a great luxury to be able to afford. It's just it's great to have.
Hey, 100%. But you know, let me tell you one more thing, because I think we're gonna wrap things up here. It's the money is the money is kind of, for most people, it's the one thing that they hear. Oh, Max throws around these numbers, 10K a month, 100K a month. But once you have it, you know money is not the main thing. What really is the most value about having your own online business is the time, because time cannot be brought back to you. You can always make more money. Money's infinite,
Yeah,
but time with your family, with your friends, with your parents, with your kids, that nobody can take that away from you if you are your own boss. And you know, we have very limited time. My day is only 24 hours, just like anybody else. And at some point, you know, my biological clock is done, and I'm going to draw my last breath. And I know deep down inside that I don't want to waste my life in a job that I don't believe in a job that underpays me, in a job that is not secure. I want to do something where I can be free to travel, but most importantly, free to spend time with my loved ones, with my family, with my spouse, and with my future kids. And that is something that I wish for everybody, especially your listeners here.
yeah, and you know, I just saw a quote by Jim Carrey the other day that said something along the lines of, "I wish everybody would become rich and achieve everything they ever wanted, to realize that it isn't everything." And I'm like, well, then
Love it.
I've been playing the wrong game here. Then what's the goal? What are we doing?
Yeah, like I said, the goal is time. Getting that time out. That's what it is, at least in my opinion.
just time freedom.
Yeah, exactly.
To be able to do whatever you want to do.
Exactly, and whenever you want to do.
Yeah, that's my goal, man. I can't wait to just be able to work my own business, not have to have multiple jobs.
Yeah.
That's my next step, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. Let's get you there. Shouldn't be too difficult.
All right. So you said you want to wrap this up. Where can people find you online? Are you out there anywhere? Of course you are.
Yeah, for sure. So, when you want to build your own freedom business, if whether you have no idea what you want to do, or maybe you have a little bit of an idea already, maxtornow.com. That's my website. You can read a little bit into it. You can book a free consultation call on there with us. Other than that, Instagram, YouTube, Max Tornow. I reply to DMs. I'm there. That's what I do. That's what I love.
All right. And any parting words for the world? Any advice, I suppose?
Hey, make sure that you do something with your time, right? Don't waste it away in a cubicle. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to your loved ones. And to you, my friend, also thanks so much for having me on your beautiful podcast. It was a lot of fun, man.
I appreciate it. I'll get this edited and posted in about a week or two. I still have a few in the queue I got to edit and post, but make sure you post it, tag everybody we talked about, and be sure to share it.
Sounds good. Let me know when it's done. I'll give you a shout out. And yeah, man, it was a pleasure talking to you, buddy.
Very good. I appreciate it, Max. Have a great day.
Thanks, man. You too, man. All the best. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.